Okay, so we're trying to figure out streets. The Beatles played near this street on the south side. Maybe Maxwell Street? Yeah.
Try again.
Uh-oh. West Maxwell Street, that's famous for the blues and stuff, so maybe Halstead? There it is. International Amphitheater at that time. The Bears once played here, and the Cubs still do. Clark and Addison. Give us a hard one, why don't you? Huh?
That was the first one we got.
Oh.
I think it...
Got a thing on the Cubs here. It says, wait till next year. That was our slogan right up until 2016. When we finally did win the World Series. Only took 108 years, so... So these are original seats from Wrigley Field, and this is part of the original floor from the Chicago Stadium where the Bulls used to play. So you can actually stand on the actual boards, and you can sit in an original Chicago Cubs Wrigley Field seat. So this is the jersey and hat of Ben Zobrist. He was our MVP in the 2016 World Series, where he hit a single during the 4th inning of Game 5. And the long wait is over. The longest championship drought in North America ended on November 2nd, 2016, when the Chicago Cubs won their first World Series since 1908. They were on fire that year. They won 103 games and lost only 58. The best in record in Major League Baseball that year. And there's a baseball from the World Series right there. So a lot of people don't realize that the Special Olympics, Chicago is the largest local chapter of Special Olympics, an international organization. So Special Olympics Chicago. So we hold the biggest one right here. Oh, look at this. A working model of the arch at the Auditorium Theater. We love the Auditorium Theater. It's one of our favorite places. That is quite the swimsuit from 1925. Science finds, industry applies, man conforms. Get your World's Fair tickets today to the 1933 Chicago World's Fair. There is one of the officer uniforms that would have been used there. So the World's Columbian Expedition. This happened at the World's Fair Chicago of 1893. A lot of things happened there. So a lot of firsts. Cracker Jack was first introduced. Hot dogs for the first time. And the very first Ferris wheel ever was at the 1893 Columbus Expedition. It was also known as the White City. They had this thing called the Wooded Island in Jackson Park. We'll take you there someday. It's still there, believe it or not. And it was part of the World's Fair of 1893. It's one of the last things that remain. That and the Museum of Science and Industry, which at that time was the art building. So you see that puppet right there? There's the actual puppet. This is Colonel Cracky. He was a hand puppet. He was part of the Kukla, Fran, and Ollie show. Of course, Chicago is famous for things like the Playboy Club. Playboy got its start right here in Chicago. Hugh Hefner. There's an original bunny costume. course, one of the big players in the Chicago blues scene, B.B. King. I want to go on the train car up here.
Okay.
So this was an original car for the South Side. Unfortunately, the L cars in 1892 were not designed to accommodate strollers. So you can't bring your stroller in here. But this is what the L cars used to look like. This is quite comfortable. And a back and a front seat. These were, yes, this was the, these were the L cars. This is what the L.
Super tall.
No, there used to be straps that used to come down.
Oh, okay.
And then they were attached to those.
Just saying that.
But yeah. On the bars, there used to be straps that hung down and then you could hold on if you had to stand. But yes, this was the original L cars. A lot has changed over the years. Before Chicago was Chicago, it was an army fort, and it was Fort Dearborn right here. So the very first structure built in Chicago was this right here. And it sat over by the river, the Chicago River, that of course leads into Lake Michigan. Definitely an awesome, awesome museum. Especially for Chicago history. All sorts of history on the fairs and how Chicago first started, and the butcher yards that were here. And, just so much fascinating history here. You got history on the breweries that started here. The iron and the steel mills. What else is around here? Look at Motorola. Motorola started right here. How about that? The section over here is all about the Great Chicago Fire, where it basically just laid Chicago into ruins. And one of the only buildings to survive the Great Chicago Fire was this right here. And that is the water tower place. But just to give you an idea of how hot that fire burned, there's iron washers, and they were melted together and fused together in the fire. And here's a ceramic doll's head damaged in the fire. A marble bust and marble statuary hands, all damaged in the fire. Even down here, there were coins that fused together. All this stuff damaged in the fire. Look at it, melted glass. I like this little section over here because you can be a hot dog.
Yeah, you can be a hot dog.
So what do you like on your Vivienne hot dog? Let's just clear this out. And Vivienne is now a hot dog. We like onions. I do like some relish, Becky.
Relish, okay.
We'll do a classic. We'll do a classic Chicago dog. So let's put a piece of tomato on there. A pickle. And let's do a couple sports peppers.
No sports peppers.
We want to do a classic Chicago dog. So classic Chicago dogs has sports peppers. Now, unfortunately, we do not have mustard, but oh well. There's, we do have celery salt right here. You get this thing over here, it's called smell. You can smell Chicago. Smell what it is. I think this would be industry. Pew. History stinks. That's the still mills, the steel mills. I keep calling it the still. It's the steel mills. Uh-oh. I don't know if I want to smell the Union stockyards. Oh! Oh! Dingy! The Great Chicago Fire. It smells like a campfire. This would be, wild onions. That's right. I forgot that Chicago was one of the largest producers of wild onions in the world. It actually smells good. And what smell would be at Wrigley Field? It smells like hot dogs. That was right. Okay.
Please spell that.
Okay. Should I find out what it is first, or?
Yes.
That's not a bad smell. It's the prairie.
You said that's not a bad smell.
It wasn't a bad smell. Oh yeah, and the 1893 Columbian Expedition
I'm not going anywhere.
also produced one of America's very first serial killers. So H.H. Holmes, and that can be all read about in The Devil and the White City. Great book, by the way. We're gonna check out the History Museum store. They have a store and a cafe down here. Becky, I think we need this hat.
Oh yeah, I like the hat.
Look at that. So here's that silver screen to mainstream that we were just looking at. And this is all about the designs from Hollywood to Chicago. Ooh, I like that one. This is home. Chicago flag. Look at this, Wise Guy Chicago. So, gangsters and grifters. Sin in the Second City. That sounds good. Here is the book I was just talking about one of America's very first serial killers. If you haven't read this, I would highly, highly recommend it. It's called Devil in the White City by Erik, Larson. It's all about H.H. Holmes, a true history of the White City Devil. Look at that plush hot dog, Becky or Vivienne, and they got pizza slices too. Is he super soft? He looks super soft. That's awesome. I think I just fell in love with this T-shirt right here too. Look at this. It's just a big old Chicago style hot dog. Really loving it. Becky found a little bean. The bean.
It's a bank.
It's a bank. Look at that. The Chicago Bean.
It's cloud.
It's called
Cloud
the
gate.
Cloud Gate. I guess the maker of the Cloud Gate actually hates that it is called the Chicago Bean.
Well, why did he design it like a bean?
Right, exactly. There you go. So I say to this artist, embrace it. Look at this book here. This is nice. Dead Feminists, Historic Heroines in Living Color. Oh, Vivienne Mayer. Yeah, great photographer. We saw her exhibit here years ago, before we were vlogging. It's spelled a little different than our Vivienne. Our Vivienne is spelled Vivienne.
And no one.
You have the French spelling. Of course, President Obama is in Chicago, lived in Chicago, was our state representative for a while, wasn't he? A senator. And became president. I love this map here. This map, it shows all the different parks along the lakefront. That is so cool. This would be awesome framed. All right. The rain started coming down, but now the sun is coming out, so we're going to try to walk between the raindrops here. As you can see, it's very wet. Windy. Okay, I'm gonna stop the vlog right here. So there will be a part 3, but here's what part 3 will involve. It's just I want to show you one very historical, infamous site, and it's mob related, but I do want to show you it, and where we planned to eat didn't quite work out, but I do want to take you to the place that we did eat that day, because it happens to be, I think I would place it number 3 on the best cheeseburger I have ever had. So that will be the next vlog, okay? So that'll be a short one. It'll just be a nice short little vlog. But so stay tuned for that. That's coming up soon. And if you like what you see, as always, give us a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe down below. And we'll see you guys next time on Where the Heck Are the Albans? Bye, everyone.